Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Have you ever felt spirit's energy touch you, bump into you, pass through you? I'm just going to share a few experiences today and what it feels like when spirit energy makes themselves known, like really known. So they can do this gently. Sometimes they will gently, if they touch your hair and you get a shiver, or they touch your skin, they put their energy near your skin and they actually touch you. It's like their energy radiates into your skin and it gives you a shiver, or the hairs stand up on your arms. That's when they can gently let you know that their energy is touching your energy. But sometimes it can be solid. You can actually, I don't know how they can make themselves into such a dense, solid energy, but I have certainly felt it a few times where I've bumped into them and felt like I've walked into a person. And one particular time it was just so strong, this feeling. I had, my husband at the time had gone to bed early and I'd sat up and watched the rest of something on television. And then when I was ready to go to bed, the bedroom was dark, very, very dark. And I gathered he was asleep, and we had a four-poster bed. So I used to walk through the door. He slept closest to the door and I was over on the other side. So what I used to do when I'd go in and it was dark, I'd feel my way around the four-poster bed, just feel the way around, and then touch the post and sort of go around, touch the railing between the posts so that I could get round to my side of the bed without crashing into something in the dark. And this particular night, I'd done the same thing as I always did, walked into the dark room, felt the bed, walked around, grabbed the first post, and as I swung around, I just walked straight into a body. I felt the body. I felt like the chest, exactly as if you would physically walk into somebody. And in that split second, I thought it was my husband. I thought, oh gosh, he must be out of bed. And I've just walked straight into him. And I reached around to turn the ensuite light on. And as I switched it on, there was nobody in front of me. And I looked across and he was laying in bed snoring his head off. And I thought, I've just walked straight into a physical energy. Now, I know we have dimensions that cross over because there's no such thing as time. Time's just something that's created here on Earth. And I've thought about that incident a few times and I've thought, I wonder if there was a moment in time that crossed over where there was actually another person in that bedroom, a person from the past that was living in that house, a person in the future that's living in that house. And for a split second, those times crossed over and I walked into that person. So they should have felt me as well. They're probably telling a story one day about them walking into a spirit energy, which was actually me, and I walked into them. Because we both should have felt it. So is it not just a spirit energy? Is it actually just a different time zone? And we've crashed into each other. Similar thing happened also when I was in a car once. I was coming around to turn left and I was looking to my right to give way. There was nothing over the other side. So the only way I had to give way was to the right. And I'm looking that way, I looked that way, checked, double checked, all clear, turned my car, and this other car was parallel to my car. It was a four-wheel drive. And I looked at the driver of the four-wheel drive and he looked at me and we both had that look of, where the hell did you just come from? He didn't see me, I didn't see him. I don't even know where he could have come from because I'm looking that way. I could see everything coming down the road. There was nothing from the other side that could come across. It wasn't like it was kind of like a T-junction sort of shape. It was only that way. So I don't even know where he came from. And I thought later on, they talk about ghost cars and if we've crossed over with time zones again. Did that happen? But then I started thinking, did I lose some time without realizing it? Did I lose a minute or two? Did he lose a minute or two? I'm not sure how, like my logical head struggles to get around that. Where did we just miss that bit of timing without realizing it? But yeah, he was there and I was there, and we were close. We nearly crashed into each other. But the look on both our faces said exactly the same thing. Like, where did you just come from? It wasn't like he yelled at me and I didn't yell at him. It was, we both had a look of shock on our face because we could not figure out how like, I'm going that way. He's nowhere to be seen. I turned the corner and he's there. He didn't come from there, and he would, if he was coming from there, he would have seen me turning anyway. So it was only once that's happened to me with the cars. Very, very weird experience. And another time I've experienced energy passing through me, and I was standing in a restaurant, and two of my friends had gone up to order, and it was a type of situation where you lined up to order was also a walkway for people to go through. So that we didn't block the walkway, those two went up to order and I stayed back. And in between us, there was still a walkway. And this lovely lady walked past me, probably, in her 60s. Her husband walked past me because there was another restaurant further down that way, so they were heading down that way. And as I went to step forward, after they passed, I went to step forward and I felt, now this was a spirit energy pass through me. And I feel like it was somebody that was with them, a spirit energy that was following that couple. Because I stepped forward, it just went straight through me. And the feeling is like, it's like, when you get a shiver and you go, you get that kind of shiver. But you felt something pass through your body. Like, unless you actually go through it, it's quite a difficult thing to explain what it's actually like. I've never felt it fully go through my body like that. Like it crossed through my whole entire body. And in that moment, as it crossed through, I also knew it was a male energy that had crossed. I knew them. Like, normally I'm sitting back and I'm looking over there. They're always over there or they're right next to me, but they're never in me. Like, they're never in my physical body. But this time they actually passed right through. And as it happened, one of the girls that I was with turned around to call out if I wanted something. And as she actually saw, she can't explain it, but she said it's like she saw something passing through me and she saw me reacting to it, my body actually reacting to it. And she was not psychic at all. She didn't have any kind of abilities that she was aware of, and she was quite freaked out by it because she said, something just went through you. So she saw it, I felt it, and she saw it. So I don't know if you've ever felt that yourself. Let me know in the comments if you have felt a spirit actually pass through your body. Quite often we feel them tap us. They'll tap. Even like just last week, I said to one of the kids, someone's just poked me in my back. I just felt this finger poke me into the top of my shoulder. And I know when they do that, it's just someone that either I'm going to do a reading for them, or it's just someone I know that's passed over this, has the ability to know how to use energy and can just poke me. And I've spoken to the time before when I felt that man poke me in the ear and give me a wiggle in the ear with his finger. And then I was talking to his daughter and I said about this man that wiggled in my ear, and she said that's what my dad used to do all the time. He used to put his finger, wet willy they were called, he'd put his finger in people's ears. So they can find ways to physically touch you. Sometimes I have found, because I don't know, to me it's not scary, it's just totally normal. I find a lot of people that are not really believers in the afterlife, or they're a bit scared about it, so they don't want to know. I find when things happen to them and they can't explain it, the first person they want to ring up is me and tell me, because they know that I'm not going to judge them, and they know that I'm going to totally understand how they felt. Because if there's a stigma still, like if you tell people that something weird happened to you, they're going to laugh at you or think you're crazy, and so people just don't say anything. And I really don't care what people think. I've been telling people my whole life stuff that's happened, because it is totally true to me. I see it, I feel it, it's true to me. So why would I want to deny not talking about it? But a couple of experiences, and these have been 3 males that I know that no, kind of on the edge maybe. They don't really want to know a lot about this spiritual energy stuff. But when it happens to them, then they do want to know, because they just want some clarification. So one of them was sleeping in a hotel. He had to go away for work. He was on his own. He was sleeping in a bed, and he felt the bed sheets get pulled away from him. And so he sat up and sort of pulled them back up again, thinking, just the first time that it happens is kind of like, oh, maybe I kicked it, maybe it just slipped off the bed, you know, all the logical stuff will start coming in. And then the second time they got pulled off again, and that's when he realised he wasn't alone in that room. And that kind of unnerved him, because a lot of people need to have proof, or they need to understand what's going on. And if they've never delved with this kind of stuff before, it can be frightening. Another one was in a house at like a Airbnb in a country town. His wife had gone to bed. He stayed up to watch some sport on the television, and he heard like footsteps. He was on a couch that had a walkway behind the couch, and he just felt something in the room. He couldn't explain what it was. He said it was kind of like the room got cold, and then he heard like footsteps going behind the couch, and so he ran and woke his wife up, and she had to come and sit on the couch with him and watch even she was allowed to sleep on the couch, but he couldn't be there alone. That frightened him. And I think, to me, there's nothing to be frightened of. I think the fear just comes from just not knowing and not having experienced it before. That's all the fear is. And then with my ex-husband, because he lived with me and he was so used to what I was doing, he was kind of accepting of it, but he didn't really experience it himself. We had a portal at the end of our hallway, and that's where I used to see spirits coming and going up and down that portal all the time, and he didn't see them. And just because he wasn't open to it doesn't mean they weren't there and I was imagining it, and he just couldn't see it. He just wasn't open to anything. But when we sold that home, we moved to our new home, but he had to go back there just to tidy up few things, and he just slept one night there, but there was no furniture there. It was just, he just had a swag that he'd put in the lounge room. He had the open, like a wood fire burning, so that was keeping him warm at night, and he just slept in a swag next to the fire in this empty lounge room. So he got himself tucked up in the swag. The glow of the fire burning in the wood box was just enough to sort of light the area. And all of a sudden he heard the laundry door to the back of the house, which went outside. He heard the laundry door open. Like he heard the doorknob and the door open. And he's thinking I locked that. I'm sure I locked that door. And then he heard like footsteps, and they were in the laundry. And then he thought, oh my God, you know, he was a brave guy, but he got scared. So the first thing he thought of was there was still a poker near the fire, which was going to be left there with the house. So he grabbed the poker, and he was sort of kneeling on the swag with this poker in his hand, and he was waiting for the sound to get closer to him so that he could jump up and hit this person with the poker. Anyway, he listened, and the footsteps went like that through the laundry. They looked silent for a minute, turned to the passageway, down the passageway, and as it got closer and closer to the door where he was in the lounge room, he jumped up and flicked the light on because power was still connected. He flicked the light on and screamed like a madman to scare him, and there was nobody there. He looked down the passageway, he ran through to the laundry, the door was locked from the inside. He said there was nobody, and he said that absolutely scared the bejesus out of him, because he said it was so real. He said, I heard the noises, I heard the laundry door open, I heard the footsteps, and he said, and I just felt like someone was coming in there. And yeah, that scared him, but there was nobody. And yeah, that doesn't scare me. Like, I don't know. I just if I hear stuff like that, I just wait until, okay, someone's coming in. Let's have a discussion when you get here. I'm never ever frightened of spirit energy. I'm more frightened of real people. I mean, sometimes you have to get up, and when you hear noises like that in the night, you have to get up and check to make sure it's not a real person. And when you can discover it's not a real person and it's just a spirit energy, then there's nothing to be scared from, because they're either, what if it's something, as I said before, what if it's dimensions that cross over, and it's somebody that's living in the house at a different time, and that time zone crosses over, so you're both in the same place? Are they not thinking also that if it's another person in a different time zone, are they also not thinking, oh my God, there's someone else in the house? Are they not picking up my husband that was in the swag, you know? So I'm not sure on that. I'm not sure on that crossover in time dimension. It's just a theory that I quite often think about to explain things. But then there's other times when you know that they come and they sit on your bed. You'll feel a pressure that just feels like it's someone sitting on the edge of the bed. And that's usually, that to me always feels like someone visiting, because when you're in the bed and then they come and they just sit near the bed. So, I don't know, let me know, tell me what you've experienced. Have you ever felt them move through you? Have you felt them touching you, poke you, stroke your hair? Another thing that I just remembered then, when my youngest son was, I guess he was about 12 or 13, he's always been very open to this, obviously growing up with my influence and me talking about it all the time. But something that really, really frightened him one day was he'd got in the shower, and as all young kids do, they like to stand in the shower for a good 40 minutes, not washing themselves or doing, well, I don't know else what they're doing in there, but they're in there for a good 40 minutes just to let the water run, you know, like this. We don't have to pay for the gas, the heating of the water or anything in their eyes. It's just free water. Anyway, he was in there normally he would have long showers, but this particular day, his shower was cut short. He had it was hot, the steam was, you know, building up in the shower, and then all of a sudden it was a clear glass shower screen with the steam on it, he saw a pattern start to get drawn. Like a thing, he didn't see anything else, he just saw this pattern start forming on the glass, and it ended up being a mermaid, like a fishy kind of mermaid type shape. And it frightened him so much, he quickly turned the shower off, he flung the door open, and he tried to get out of the bathroom, and he could not get out of the bathroom. He said it felt like someone was holding the doorknob on the outside. And then he started yelling for me. He was yelling out to Mum. So I ran to the bathroom. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I gotta get out. I gotta get out. I gotta get out." And I opened the door, fine, and he came out, and he was frightened, like he was shaking, frightened. And I'm, "What happened?" And he said, "Someone just drew in the steam on the window, like there was something in there, and it frightened me." And I said, "Did it do anything to you?" And he said, "No, it just drew a picture." So I tried to calm him down and sort of explain that sometimes they don't realize that they're frightening you. They're trying to give you a message or trying to show you something, and they don't realize that you're not ready for it, so it's frightening you. So he calmed down after a while, and then off he went to school. And I just thought to myself, I'm just going to go into the bathroom to feel what I can feel later. And when I tried to open the door to go back into the bathroom, I could feel someone holding the door on the other side. They weren't going to let me in. So yeah, there was some kind of energy in there, and that frightened my son. So yeah, let me know your experiences, and whether you felt frightened or whether you thought it was all normal and you worked out what they were doing there, and if you've actually walked straight into a spirit or if you've felt them pass through you. So yeah, let me know and tell me your story, and thank you for listening to me.